So, just over a year since the beautiful and historic tree at Sycamore Gap was illegally chopped down, legally felled. A couple of weeks ago, we had a chat with a brilliant bloke, Rob McBride. He was telling me about another tree as well. I mean, obviously we chatted about sycamores, but he was telling me about another tree, a tree that he was trying to save, the Darwin Oak. And he told me he was taking his campaign to the Houses of Parliament. Here is Julia Buckley, who's MP for Shrewsbury, presenting this petition to Parliament.
Madam Deputy Speaker, this petition mirrors the one I delivered to Downing Street yesterday with 108,000 signatures. It seeks to protect the Darwin Oak, a veteran tree 550 years old at Shelton Rough outside Shrewsbury, in a green space where Charles Darwin himself played frequently as a child. It's one of hundreds of trees that are threatened with felling should the proposed North West Relief Road scheme go ahead in my Shrewsbury constituency. Not only would this lead to a significant loss of biodiversity and carbon capability, but also breach the government's national planning policy framework and a huge loss of green space that currently used for the well-being of Shrewsbury residents. The petitioners therefore request that the House of Commons urge the government to work with Shropshire Council and safeguard the Darwin Oak tree and ensure its preservation for future generations.
Well, there you go. That's Julia Buckley, MP for Shrewsbury, and we're going to chat very shortly about that mission to number 10. But Rob, lovely to have you back on BBC Radio Newcastle. For people that didn't hear our first chat, just explain to them what a tree hunter is.
Well, good morning, Anna, and all the crew, all the Claires up there. Yeah, tree hunter. I always say it. My wife asks that question every time. What do I do? Essentially, these days it's sort of morphed into a campaign role, sadly, to try and save the great ancient and veteran trees of the UK. But a lot of the time, I can be out finding fantastic trees, and I must say, you've got a gem up there that I found in Gladstone Street in Sunderland. Ooh. The other week when I was up there after your show, I went and met my good friend Bob Joblin and took him around. He took me to see him and different places. But in Gladstone Street, where my nan and granddad used to live many years ago, we found a fantastic bay tree. I think it's one of the best trees in Sunderland, and it's a secret.
Oh, it's not now. Good, we need to spread the word. So in Gladstone Street, and what is it, a bay tree?
It's a bay tree, yeah. You don't really see many of this size. I just got chatting in Gladstone Street because obviously I'm trying to do a bit of family history research. And in fact, it sounds weird to say this. It took me back nearly 60 years. Yeah. I'm only 38. But anyway, it took me back 60 years to when I was there as a kid, walking to me nan and granddad's down the street there. Oh. And I got the feel of the place. And I met this fella on the doorstep, John, who told me about. He said, I got chatting about trees. I've got a big tree in the garden, and I went round the back alleyway and had a look. It's beautiful.
Oh, lovely! That is really lovely, and we're so lucky in the northeast because you have so many beautiful forests and incredible places that you can see them. But to see them in the town, that's really lovely and so important, Rob. And we touched on this last time. I am a massive advocate of getting out in nature. I am a tree hugger. People can laugh at me about it, but I definitely am, even though I'm slightly allergic to the moss on them. But it helps. And if you're struggling at all with your mental health, even if you just want good mental health, it's so good for you to get out and about, isn't it, in nature and look at the trees and go and be around them.
Well, seriously, while we're on this topic, and I've had the mick taken out of me because I used to be a software engineer, electrician, electrical engineer, and I had a career change through a drastic decline in my mental health, a breakdown, if you like. And, people, working class people, they do take them. I don't mind having the mickey taken out of me at all, as long as I can get the message over to people to, up there, you folks listening to this, if you are feeling rubbish there, you're inside, or whatever's happening in your life and you're feeling rubbish, just take my advice. Go for a little wander around a park, or if you live on the edge of town, just wander around by the side of the river, get into the greenery, and I would say within 30 minutes you can transform your mental health for the positive, for the better. And there is a big project now worldwide called Tree Equity, and if you want to Google this after, the Woodland Trusts have got a website. If you just put Woodland Trust Tree Equity, and I'm looking at a map of Sunderland here, and some of the scores are so low. Canopy cover of 5%. It's air pollution, high air pollution. It's about employment. It's about health. It's about income. There's a whole scoring mechanism now. This is going around the world, where you can look where you live and see how poorly off. Generally, the poorer areas have less trees, and we need to change it.
Absolutely, that needs changing. In fact, I was looking at the other day. I was having a wander down Northumberland Street, and they're doing some new stuff there, and they're putting trees in the middle of Northumberland Street, and I thought, yeah, good, that's what needs to happen, and there needs to be around more greenery, because whether you believe in it or not, I mean, that scientifically the evidence is there that your brain chemistry changes when you're around these things and you're around nature. So tell us about, Rob, then, your mission that's taken you to number 10. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, God, after the stress, I got to Birmingham, they cancelled the train. OMG.
Oh, OMG indeed. You can't be late for number 10.
As you can tell, I've got daughters going at OMG. So we eventually got the train with me bag. I had a bag with 3 large boxes with 1,000 pages printed, etc. So I wasn't the most inconspicuous person pushing past everybody to get to the train. Anyway, we got there in time, and the 2 MPs turned up, Julia Buckley and Helen Morgan from North Shropshire. Took us to number 10, and we presented it. I'm looking at the photos now with, say, the Darwin Oak, and it was very nice. You get to knock on the door, and the chap comes to the door. Not Mr. Starmer, unfortunately, but the chap comes, and you pose for photos. And the only news outlet that was there today was GB News, so we did an interview with GB News, which I don't think they had. But no, it was great. And Julia took us into the House of Commons after, and we had a bit of a bite to eat there, which was really nice. She was very, very welcoming, I must say. Brilliant lady. And a really good person for trees. And while we're on about that, I just thought, with this bay tree, I think I'd love to come up and take you tree hunting one day around the area.
I would
Newcastle and Sunderland.
Absolutely love that. Rob, you're on. We'll talk to one of our Claires, talk to Claire and Tony, and we'll get a date in, and we'll go tree hunting, and tell people of the North East where are some amazing places to go and some incredible trees to see. I am absolutely up for that. Rob, really lovely to chat to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Have a wonderful day. I'm gonna make sure that we get that happening. Really appreciate it. And if you've got any suggestions listening to the show as well, maybe there's something beautiful near you, then absolutely get on board and have a look at Tree Equity that Rob was just mentioning there. Definitely have a look at Tree Equity, because I think that sounds like a really interesting project to look at. It is 11:30. We've got Go West on the way, and this next is Billie Eilish. But if I've missed it, we were talking to Rob McBride, and Rob is a tree hunter. And obviously goes around looking and finding incredible trees, and very passionate about wildlife and about nature and what it can do for our mental health. And just at the end of the conversation there, he'd said to producer Tony, tell them they've got to vote for the Darwin Oak, because there's the Tree of the Year competition, which obviously our beautiful Sycamore Gap did win at some point. But what Rob's doing now is he's trying to save the Darwin Oak in Shrewsbury. So if you go on the Woodland Trust, it's really easy to do it actually. They've just got a list of the trees. So the Woodland Trust, Darwin Oak, Shrewsbury, and they do a little fact file. The girth of the tree is 7.1 metres and is aged over 550 years old. Near the Mount, which was the childhood home of Charles Darwin. Hard not to think this impressive tree and its surrounding countryside helped to inspire a young Charles about the natural world. So you can vote for that tree. But also, if you missed it as well, Rob was just chatting about Gladstone Street, I think he said, when he was up here, because he's got family. He's originally from Shrewsbury, but got family in Sunderland, so comes up a lot, and history in Sunderland. And he was saying there's an incredible bay tree in Gladstone Street in Sunderland worth looking at. Right, 11:35, time to
Tune Twister.